Hey guys, it's Jessica, and today I'm finally bringing to you my best and worst, like, official review of a ton of products from the brand Charlotte Tilbury. Now, if you've not heard of them, they're definitely a luxury brand. You guys know drugstore is my home and it always will be, but at the same time, I've been wanting to try this brand because for years, I've heard so many people like swear by some of these products, and I'm like, okay, well, why are they that much better than like all of the other brands that say Sephora or Ulta, you know? So I wanted to try these for a couple of months, and I have, and I've literally had these in this little basket here on my vanity so that I can continually try them day after day. Now, obviously I'm trying other things too, but I have used these a lot, and I really know how I feel about every single one, which ones I think are worth the money, which ones are like holy grail, like I'm buying them again when I run out, swear by them, and then which ones I just feel like, like maybe you might like it if you have this skin type, but otherwise I don't think you need to run out and get it. I already filmed this intro once, and I literally talked for 5 minutes before starting, so I had to start over, so here we are. So before we get into it, I hope that you will hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell, so you are notified when I upload new reviews. And if you are into thorough reviews and me putting them on my face and talking with you while I do it, you're gonna like this video. Let's just get started. I don't even know anymore. So I don't have enough for a complete full face, but I've got pretty much, so there'll be a couple things I'll throw in here or there. Things you still might be interested in knowing how they perform, but they might not be from Charlotte Tilbury. So all of this I bought with my own money. I think a long time ago, Charlotte Tilbury sent me like, not her, I mean the brand, please. Like maybe a lip liner and like something else. I don't even remember which one. So it was just kind of a weird fluke. Like I don't even know that they have a PR list, but bought pretty much all of this with my own money, my honest opinions regardless. I bought a few things when I first started dabbling in the brand. I bought it on beautylish.com, which I love ordering from them because they like wrap everything so beautifully. But recently, Charlotte Tilbury began being sold at Sephora, and I was like, that's like, to me, I'm like mainstream, like most people can get it, because it's, I know you guys feel the same way as me. I don't like ordering, like it's just easy to order from Sephora. It just is. You know, now I've got like the Rouge shipping if you spend way too much money, you know. So for me, I'm like, yay, like it's way more exciting when a brand is sold at Sephora. That's just me. They don't sell every single product from Charlotte Tilbury there, but they sell a lot of it. I'm gonna be drinking some coffee. I'm doing this get ready with me style. Sometimes I like film it ahead of time and then like talk and put it over, but we're just gonna do it together at the time. All right, so obviously I've already moisturized my face, so we're gonna start with a primer she sells. Now, I have two pseudo primers, like they're kind of, let me just show you. So the first one I have is her Brightening Youth Glow. It says anti-aging, color correcting glow booster. And the instructions for this are to apply it on its own or on top of her famous magic cream for a youth boosted brighter glow. So that is one option we have for today. And the other one I have that a lot of people here on YouTube swear by is the Hollywood Flawless filter for a superstar youth glow. I like both of these, but I definitely have one that's my favorite. So what I want to do, this is more like a highlighting kind of a primer. It's not truly a primer. It really is like you could do like a kind of dewy highlight under your foundation, which is how I usually wear it. You could totally tap it on top as well. So I'm gonna start with this, and what I wanna do is I'm gonna put it on half of my face. I was doing this the other day and I was like, illuminating. Like, I mean, like literally it kind of told me what I needed to know about this product. So I'm gonna put it on half of my face, and I want you to see for yourself if you think that it's really making a huge difference or not. Now, obviously I am moisturized. This is what I do before I put on anything on my face pretty much every single day regardless. So I've got drier skin, so I like to start with more of a dewy face. So it's a squeezy tube. It's really thick, it's plastic, but it's like thick plastic. So I'm just gonna put this on. This is a little tricky because I have like daylight on this side. So actually, I'm gonna put it on this side so you can see it a little more truthfully, because daylight kind of makes everything look nice. At least on camera, not in real life. I feel like sometimes daylight does not make everything look nice. So it really is kind of a moisturizing feel to it. It's got a white tone, but it's definitely transparent. But like I said, it's supposed to give you like this glow. And so I was like, when I did this the other day, I was like, is it really though? Is it really giving me that glow that's worth the price tag here? Or is it kind of something I could totally do with like an illuminating primer? I'm gonna give this about a minute to sink in, and then we're gonna look at each side of the face, and I want you to make your own opinion here. While we're waiting, I will say the packaging of like all of these products is ridiculously beautiful. Like it's all like this beautiful rose gold. Oh my gosh, like it totally sucks you in, but some of them are totally worth it. So I'm gonna come close. This is the side that has it on it. This is the side that does not. Do you really notice a difference that's worth like, you know, 50 bucks or whatever it is? No. I really don't think, I think it's, obviously it's slightly glowier, but I mean, let me just pull any random drugstore primer. Hold on. The CoverGirl Illuminating one, I put it on in my recent CoverGirl Best and Worst like big review video, kind of like this one, but for CoverGirl. I will link that video up in the cards and down below because that one, I put everything on my face as well, and I use this primer, and it's beautiful. It's illuminating. It does exactly what this does. Now, I mean, there's no glitter to this. There's no glitter in the CoverGirl one either. This is one that's slightly more expensive, but not quite as expensive as Charlotte Tilbury. I actually like better. This is the IPKN Radiant Cream Primer. This is, again, a moisturizing primer. It's also white, but it gives this unbelievable glow to the face that I think is way more worth your time and money than this Charlotte Tilbury one is. So it's kind of funny. This is a brand that I am falling in love with, but we're starting with a product that I really just, I think it's okay. I don't think it's bad. I will certainly use it and probably use it up, but I just don't think it's worth the money because that's my job here, to let you know what's worth it or not. But I'm gonna go ahead and put it on the other half of my face, and then we're still gonna apply the Hollywood Flawless filter because I do like this. Now this, again, back to the original, I got it in my eye. It burns. I will say this is a very thin formula, so maybe if you want a little bit of glow, but you don't want it to be like a really thick, creamy one, this might be up your alley because it's definitely a thin layer on there and it doesn't feel tacky at all. So I think there's definitely a market for this, but I just don't think I'm the right skin type having dry skin. Now, like I said, you could put it on top of the Magic Cream, and I don't own the Magic Cream, but I would be interested to try that, or maybe even mix it in. I could see that being really pretty, but again, I think you can get this kind of thing for cheaper. Now, if skincare and ingredients is what you're worried about, I haven't really looked into the ingredients of these, but it does specifically say that it's supposed to be anti-aging. So if you're really looking for that kind of thing, then maybe this is up your alley. So this might be one that if you're like, I actually think that sounds like something I'd like, look a little farther into it. It might be worth it for you, but it's not one that I am like dying to use every day. So the Hollywood Flawless filter, again, beautiful packaging. This you can use, I've seen people use it kind of more as like a priming step, which is kind of what I'm doing. Now again, this isn't something that's gonna like prime to like prolong the wear time of your foundation, but it's gonna add this glow factor. So I like to add it to the areas of my face where I know I'm gonna highlight anyway, or that I just want brighter. So like the center areas of my face, under my eyes. The applicator is like one of those giant doe foots. I feel like I can never get enough product, but I probably don't need any more than this, so I'm just being ridiculous. But I just kind of take my middle or ring finger and just kind of blend it in. I've even put this all over my face. It's not that big of a deal. I mean, again, if you're wearing this alone, maybe not, because obviously you would look kind of like the Tin Man, but then I just kind of pat it in. I just think this is so super glowy without being shimmery or glittery, and it wears beautifully under any foundation I've tried it with. And I think it has such a pretty bright quality to it that it actually does help the light. I know it looks a little much right now, but it really does help the light bounce off the way that you want it to, especially in those areas like where, you know, where you do have darkness. So while I wouldn't wear this out alone, which I don't think that's necessarily how it's meant to be, I do think it's beautiful. Now this is one of those things that you could have your makeup on and tap on top. It's not gonna be super crazy glowy, but it's definitely gonna have that factor to it. I could also see mixing this with a moisturizer and putting it on before putting on. That could be really pretty as well. So anyway, but if I were choosing between the two, because there's so much to choose from, I would go for this. I think it's even more versatile and a little bit more bang for your buck when it comes to it. So now that we are nice and crazy glowy, I have a couple of options for base. Now I own the Light Wonder Youth Boosting Perfect Skin Foundation, which I'm pretty sure is supposed to be paired with the Brightening Youth Glow. They're in the kind of the same packaging. It's that youth boosting kind of idea. And then I also have her Magic Foundation. Now I'm gonna put the Magic Foundation on because I want you to see this, because this is the one I get the most questions about. But let me talk about this one first, because I've used this for a long time as well. It says, for a daily luminous tint, blend a small amount onto your skin from the nose outwards. For a more flawless glowing finish, pat on top of areas where extra coverage is needed using a brush. So what I might do today is, as we're getting ready, I might grab a little bit of this and put it on areas like, especially on my cheeks, where I want slightly more coverage or where I need to touch up, like maybe on my nose. I might throw a little bit of this on top. This is beautiful if you're just running out of the house. Now, my gripe with that is that if I'm running out of the house, I'm just tossing something on. I don't need something super expensive. I'm just trying to even my skin tone out. Now, if you've got the money, go for it, because it is beautiful, but it's a very, very light coverage. Now, it's not so light, you know, like the Glossier, I don't even know what it's called, but like their skin tint, maybe that's what it's called. This is certainly more coverage than that. But think of this more like a tinted moisturizer. It might have some anti-aging qualities to it. It definitely adds some color and some coverage, but it's never gonna be like a full coverage, you know, going to an event kind of makeup, unless this is what you like. So I do think it's pretty, like I said, for every day. I will probably use this up. I wear it in the shade number 3 Fair. I think across the board, Charlotte Tilbury shade range isn't great. It's just not. Now, this is something that you don't have to have a perfect match, because it is a little more forgiving because of its lighter coverage quality to it, but I do think, I really am really hoping that she expands her shade range across the board. So I do like it, but again, I feel like you could use tinted moisturizers of any kind and get a similar look. But again, if you're looking at anti-aging ingredients, this might be something that might be worth it for you. But I do think it's nice on dry skin. It doesn't illuminate my dry patches at all. So if you feel like BB creams you've tried do illuminate dry patches, which I don't really feel like they typically do, then you might like this. But we are gonna apply the Magic Foundation. This is one that I wear in the shade number 2 Fair. This one's more of like a neutral shade, I would say. I haven't tried the one less, I haven't tried 1 or 3. Sometimes with ranges I've tried more than one shade, so I know, but this is literally, I kind of bought this on a whim online, and I think it matches pretty well. I don't even know if this brush is still sold. I'm gonna use the Sedona Lace FB07, and that's 1 squirt. I'm gonna use 2. I think this has medium coverage. I don't think it's anything that is like crazy high coverage, but I think it's slightly buildable. But I've applied it with a sponge, I've applied it with a brush. You obviously get a little bit more coverage with a brush. And I also feel like so many foundations are so yellow. So it's awesome if you have a yellow, you know, warmer maybe tint to your skin, but oh my gosh, I feel like Too Faced foundations are so yellow, like all of them. I feel like I've never found a proper, even like tonal match for my skin. You know, I can make it work if it's a little light or a little dark, but just the tone is always so off. So I haven't put any on my forehead or nose, but you can kind of see the coverage there. I definitely like to wear this foundation over more glowy stuff. I feel like it can kind of look weird and textury if I don't have really good moisturization underneath it. And this is one of those that I still end up setting with a powder of some kind. My powder of choice, you will see, but it's actually not my, it's one of hers, but it's not my favorite for setting all over my face, but I'm gonna do that today so you can see what it looks like. It's actually my favorite for setting the under eye, like favorite of all time favorite. If you saw my video, and again, I'll link it in the cards and down below, my like top 5 skin-like foundations that look like skin, this was one of them. I do think this is one of the prettier foundations I own. I don't think it's my number 1. Over the past months, as I've used this, comparing it to others and gotten to know this foundation even more, I feel like it's still in that top 5. I mean, I still really like it, but I've just found other ones that I like just as much, like especially ones from the drugstore. So like in that video, I talked about the Flower Light Illusion Foundation. I think is just like this, but I might even like that one slightly better. It's such a toss-up, but I feel like that one's even more moisturizing. Let me show it to you. This is it. I just think this one is so beautiful. I think the packaging is so similar. Like once you get the rose gold lid back on this, they both, I guess it's not similar packaging, but they're both really pretty packaging, and I feel like these are very similar. I would say go for this. I don't know that I need to ever buy this foundation again. I think it's beautiful, but I think I found the same thing for cheaper in that Flower one, and then in the Physicians Formula Healthy Foundation. I love that one too. And again, I think those are so beautiful that I don't need to spend the money. But it is nice. If you're like dying to try it, I don't think it's a bad foundation. Again, if you use a sponge, it'll be just a little bit more sheared out. I'm gonna put a little bit of the Light Wonder on my nose, just so you guys can kind of get an idea of what it can look like. I mean, of course it's on top of another. It really doesn't add a ton more coverage. Like, I feel like that almost made my nose redder, and it even specifically says to use a brush, and this is one of the best foundation brushes I own.
Hello, Mama.
Hi.
Willy, fast enough, Willy, good one.
Say hi to everyone. This is Gigi. Are you looking at yourself in the mirror? Allah. I think I have some form of cute aggression where I like want to squeeze things I love like way too hard. I'm like, control yourself. So brows are done. I might touch them up a little bit. I use the CoverGirl like Sculpt and Set pomade. I can link below. I like, it's not a favorite, but I do like it. And then I was kind of using a little bit of the Maybelline Total Temptation. I'm waiting for my CoverGirl Ultra Fine Pencil. I had to order a couple new ones on Ulta's website, and I'm waiting for them to come in because that's my favorite. I will link that one below, especially because that's my favorite brow pencil right now. So I'm gonna throw on concealer, but I thought you might wanna see this. This has nothing to do with Charlotte Tilbury, but I recently bought it. It's the Tarte Creaseless Concealer because I don't have the Charlotte Tilbury concealer. It's sold out in like every shade on Sephora, so I might need to just buy it on Beautylish, but I'm gonna put just a little bit. This is a very kind of dewy concealer, not thick, but kind of thick. So I like to do this with my finger just to really get it in. But it definitely has some serious coverage. So if that's what you're looking for, this will do it. But you see what I mean by it's kind of dewy? I kind of like it. But it definitely will settle into fine lines. But the powder I'm about to use from Charlotte Tilbury, I love using to set the under eye. And this is one that definitely, this concealer is one that definitely needs set. I literally took a little bit and dabbed it onto my nose. This really does have pretty high coverage, but you can literally see it has to set. Like, it's literally tacky. Put on, I needed some more lip balm. I just put on the Kapari Lip Love. I still love this. If you have not tried this yet. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and set this. So the next Charlotte Tilbury product is the Airbrush Flawless Finish Powder. This was what like started to really sell me on this brand, that maybe some of it is really worth the money, and this is a great example of that. Oh my gosh, it's such a finely milled pressed powder. Again, of course the packaging, it's a mess because I've been using this for a while. I finally broke down and bought the brush that I've seen used with this a lot from the brand. It's the Powder and Sculpt brush. It's the same shape as what I usually use to set my under eye. And what I've learned is that like if you go in with this, powder will kick up everywhere. It's so finely milled and then pressed that it just goes everywhere, and I feel like so much is wasted. So what I learned is that you need to like roll it into it, and it gets just the right amount of powder on there. So I'm gonna go ahead and roll it in. Now this is meant that you could use it, you know, wherever you want on your face. I mean, you could use it all over your face. I just don't typically want powder all over my face. So I'm gonna press this concealer in one more time. And then we're gonna set. I'm gonna set a little bit on my nose. I just feel like this sets down the perfect amount of powder. Not the brush necessarily. I think the brush is fine. It's a little rougher than I would have guessed, which is fine. There are some brushes that I love that are more like kind of this natural bristle. But this is an expensive brush. I don't think you need to run out and buy this brush. There are plenty. Luxy makes great, you know, very, very similar brushes for slightly cheaper. And I own a lot of these and I really like them. I literally have two right here. Actually, the one I like the most is their Luxy 522 Tapered Highlighter. It's literally almost the same thing, maybe slightly thicker, but I use it for everything. I use it for setting my under eye. I can use it like for contour, for highlight, everything. So really, really like these actually more than this. But this powder, I just feel like it sets so nicely. It is the best powder at not making your under eyes look super crepey. Like I feel like I'll use loose powders. I've used specific under eye setting powders, even when they're pressed, banana powders, and none of them look as nice as this one does. And I know a lot of you guys have finally bit the bullet and bought it, and you're like, oh my gosh, yes. It's just nice. Now, are my under eyes like absolutely perfect, like baby's butt, like somehow Kathleen Light's unbelievable perfect under eye? I still don't know how she is a real human. Her skin is so perfect. No. but it's as close as this almost 30-year-old is probably gonna get, and I think it looks really nice. This, again, when this runs out, I will buy it again and again and again. I literally, when I discovered this, got rid of all of my other under eye powders and only kept this. Now I have other ones I'm still trying out because it's my job, but this is numero uno, worth the money, love it. I wear it in the shade number 1. So next up, we are going to do contour. I'm gonna do the eyes last. I mean, well, lips last, but I'm gonna do the rest of my face first. This is the Hollywood Contour Wand. This is another of the earlier products that I bought that I fell in love with. It's so unique, and I actually really like the packaging on this. A lot of people don't, but I love it. It's a squeezy tube, but you just pop the lid off and it's like a little sponge. And I know some people get freaked out by the sponge. I'm only using it on my face. I don't know, I don't really mind. But I love this. It's gonna look alarming when I first put it on. I'm gonna tell you that right now. But what I'll do is just put a little bit there and a little bit like kind of in that region there. And you could use a brush, but I always use the sponge and I just kind of squeeze it so it's thinner. And I'm just gonna kind of press that into the skin. And then sometimes if I feel like, ooh, it's a little dark, I'll wipe a little bit off of my sponge or turn the sponge and keep going. I feel like this ends up just looking like the most natural, beautiful sort of contour without, you know, no crazy harsh lines, no, you know, it's just so pretty. Same thing here. I'm just gonna kind of bounce it into the skin towards the hairline. I'm gonna wipe a little bit of it off, or you could just turn your sponge. And I'll sometimes take this down a little bit, kind of diffuse it. Isn't that pretty? I think this is like one of the prettiest face products out there because it's so slight. But like if you look, I know I've got like natural, but let me bring it in. It's so slight. You look at this side and then you look at that and there's just that slight amount of definition. I'm like, it is so beautiful. So let's do the other side. So you squeeze to get more into the sponge, but there's this twist to open it and close it basically. So like you can have it in the off position and you can't squeeze any more into it, which is ideal. And I didn't learn that until very, very recently. And by very recently, I mean, I literally just now learned that. Okay, I just never looked that closely at it, I guess. And if you need to diffuse it even more, I'll go back to my foundation side and just where the edges are, I'll kind of go over that. I think this is a lovely, lovely product that, again, if I ran out, I would buy it again. And if I had no more bronzers and I only had this, because I mean, really, I'm kind of using it as a contour bronzer, you know, kind of in one, I would be okay with that. Now, this takes me a little bit more time, but, and of course, it gets dirty really easily, but I just adore this product. That's why they have the same thing, but a highlight of this, and I'm like, how do I get my hands on it? Because again, it keeps me sold out, but it should be in stock in Sephora. I can link it below. I'm buying it probably when I'm done filming today because I don't want it to go out of stock again. So I also have her Film Star Bronze and Glow. This is probably one of the first things I ever heard of from this brand that I saw a lot of people talking about. Really beautiful packaging. I have it in the fair medium one, and I love this. Again, a really nice palette. So I'm gonna use the same brush I used for my powder, and I'm just kind of going over that. This is kind of overkill. I don't do this every time. It definitely improves the staying power of it, but I'll usually do one or the other, but just for the sake of this video and for science, I will do it. I kind of like how, you know, using smaller brushes for bronzer and stuff, because you can just kind of tap it in a little bit. You don't need to go crazy with it. Again, I don't think this is like a powder that's like the most unbelievable powder, but it is a nice lighter bronzer. So if you're fair like me and you feel like a lot of bronzers are super dark on you, you might actually really like this. But I don't think there's anything revolutionary about these powders. Does that make sense? It's beautiful. If you found a shade you really, really like and you really wanted to spend the money, it is nice. But I mean, this is not like a ride or die product, but I do like it. And I have actually traveled with it and I liked it that way too. So I'm gonna use the highlight here in a minute. I wanted to use her blush. So this is the Cheek to Chic Swish and Pop Blusher in First Love. So the instructions for this, the packaging is kind of just this plastic with the little logo on it. But it says, swish outer shade up cheekbone, pop middle shade on apple of cheek. Now, The reality is, if you're like me, I'm just getting all of it on my brush and just putting it on my cheeks. But my brush isn't great at getting, but I'm gonna try for the sake of this video to just get the outer part, and I'm gonna do that kind of up my cheekbone. I'm gonna do that on the other side. I think this can be heavy-handed, like I already feel like it, anyway. So now I'm gonna get that middle part and pop that on the cheekbone, or on the apple. See, I'm used to just swirling it, and I know, I do think you can get heavy-handed with this. It's got some pigment to it, so I'm gonna take my sponge and just kind of diffuse. You have to be a little more careful with that blush. It will never be my favorite blush of all time. I think it's a good blush, don't get me wrong. And if you're dying to try, I think it's beautiful, but it's not a holy grail. I think there's plenty out there by way of blush where you can save your money on that. But I do think it's pretty when you don't go crazy with it. It's kind of a fun idea, like a different shade. I've never really thought about that. I'm gonna quickly prime my eye with MAC Soft Ochre. does she make an eye primer? She probably does. I don't own one though. So it's just, if you don't know about it, I know most of you guys do, but it's just a, basically what MAC calls a paint pot. I use it as an eye primer because it's kind of a color that works for my skin tone, but they also have like colored ones, like a cream shadow. I really like the shade Indian Wood as well. Like this morning I went out and I washed my face before I filmed, but I was out this morning and I had Indian Wood on my lids, kind of blending into the crease. I do that a lot when I'm in a hurry and I just want something on my eyes. So I have a couple of options for Charlotte Tilbury eyes. I have one that I really, really like and one that I kind of felt like meh about. So the one I felt kind of meh about was her eyeshadow quad. Again, this is one of those things that I bought because I saw on Facebook, like they'd be like brushing like this unbelievable like shimmer on the lid of like this unbelievably beautiful, like effortless supermodel. And I'm just like drooling, like I need that eyeshadow. What is that? And so I bought this particular one. It's called the Vintage Vamp. So it's got this beautiful like light shimmer here, this kind of gold glittery topper, and then these two shades here that look really, really similar on the eyes. So I was a little bummed by this. Again, the packaging is pretty. So I really liked this. I was really underwhelmed by the gold glitter. At first I thought it was supposed to be like a straight up gold shade, and I'm like, this is terrible. But then I learned that it was more of like a glitter topper, and it's okay. Every time I've used it, I end up with glitter on my face. And I just am not crazy impressed by it. These two darker shades are really pretty, but like I said, once you put them on the lid, they look the exact same. And they do blend nicely though. So I will say, I think the shadows blend nicely, but it's such an expensive price tag for 4 shades. And for me, I feel like quads are very hard for me to find a quad that I'm like, that is everything I need. It just never happens for me, whether it's drugstore or high-end, and this is a really expensive. I feel like you could get an entire palette that you really, really like for the price of this. For example, the one I would recommend if you like shades like this would be one of the Anastasia palettes. I know they're so popular on YouTube for a reason. My personal favorite is the Sultry palette. Let me grab it. It's, for some reason, I guess it's not really reminiscent, but it's got neutrals and mattes. It's got crazy shimmers. It's so beautiful. I can link this, but it's my favorite for a reason. It's got everything I need. And it's, I mean, you're even saving money buying this versus that, I think. And if you're gonna be spending the money on eyeshadow, 4 or like a whole palette, come on. I mean, and I think these are better quality. So there you go. So I might dip into this just a little bit so you can see it. But the other one I was really impressed with was the Charlotte Tilbury Eyes to Mesmerize. It's like a whipped cream shadow. I have the shade Marie Antoinette. I have used this so freaking much, and it hardly looks like I have because I just dip my finger in it and tap it on the lid and then just kind of blend it with a brush into the crease. Gorgeous. So I think I'm gonna do that, and then I might add some of the shadow for like some pops and some definition. But I love this shade, and it's like this beautiful, like I love dipping my finger in it. So it's a cream, so I'm just kind of tapping it onto the lid. I want to get like literally all of these shades because it's one of the better cream eyeshadows I've used. Taking a clean fluffy brush and just lightly fluffing that into the crease so there's no like harsh line. And sometimes I'll even take the brush and just to make sure there's no like weird wet parts still, I'll just kind of tap it into it. Isn't that just a pretty wash of color? This is a single shadow look that I actually really like, and I did a ton. We were in Disney. All of those vlogs are like going on Tyler's channel. A lot of them are already up. I wore this on my eyes alone a lot of that trip because it was so quick and easy in the morning, and it didn't budge. It looked great. It was so hot in Disney in November, which kind of surprised me. I was expecting at least slightly cooler. No, it was like 100 degrees. But this withstood the heat too. So I had a lot of you guys asking what I was wearing there. I brought this, and I brought actually I think I brought the Sultry palette. So those were the two things I was using. And it's got really pretty like heavy frosted glass. I think it's gorgeous. I could leave it at this, throw a little bit of eyeliner on mascara, and I feel like glamorous and beautiful, even though it's kind of more easy and effortless. But I will use some of this so you can kind of get an idea of what it looks like. So I'll take a little bit with maybe a thinner brush. I'm gonna take a little bit of maybe this purple here. Maybe actually I'm gonna take a little bit of this red on a thinner brush. And I'm just gonna kind of place that in the outer corner and up into the crease just a bit, and we're gonna blend it with a different brush. See what I mean? I mean, it packs a punch. It's a nice shadow. It's just, I feel like those two look the same when you put them on the eye. So I do think they blend really nicely. I'm gonna take a little bit of this really pretty shimmery kind of champagne, one of my favorite kinds of shadows, and just tap it on the middle of the lid. I like doing this because it brightens it, but it also kind of gives a buffer, like blended buffer kind of between where that dark shadow was and where the other shadow is. I mean, this kind of completely covers the cream shadow, but I just want you guys to see what it looks like. So this doesn't have like this doesn't have like a beige color, so I'm actually gonna take this, and this is that powder I was talking about, and put it on my brow bone. I love using this way. It's like a really expensive version of the Wet n Wild Brûlée single shadow. I feel like if they could take the Wet n Wild Brûlée formula and put it in a powder, you'd get this. That would be amazing, and it'd be way cheap. It's just as good, like it's just as like pigmented and like punchy for something that's just like a light beige color. Oh my goodness, I love it. So I will take actually the deeper purple because it's more like a liner kind of a shade on a thinner brush, and I'm gonna put this on my lower lash line. This has a little bit of like tiny glitter flecks in it. It's nothing that's gonna be crazy obvious, but it is there, which I think is kind of interesting. Like I feel like it's kind of pointless. But do you see what I mean by that? Looks almost the same shade as the other color we used up above, the red. So I'm gonna throw on some liner and I will be right back. So I'm gonna take a little bit of that like kind of really pretty pearly color and put it on my inner corner. So we still need to highlight my face, and then we're gonna put on mascara and then lips. So the highlighter I have from them, actually the only one, again, I wanna buy like their cream highlighter, but is the one in this. Now I wanted to say before I forgot, one of my favorite things to do with this palette is actually my eyes. A lot of times when I'm in a very big hurry, like literally so much of a hurry that I don't want the cream, but I just want something on my eyes, because sometimes I feel like when I put on like a little bit of like tight line and mascara, my eyes just look weird. I don't know how to explain it, but when I have just a little bit of shadow on it, like instantly looks so much better. So what I'll do is take one brush, just a fluffy brush, and I'll get this highlight and put it all over my, literally from my brow bone all the way down to my lid. I don't care. Even though it's shimmery, I just put it all over. And then I get a little bit of this contour shade and put it really quickly in my crease. And it's beautiful. It is so beautiful. So that's like my favorite way to use this palette. But I'm going to actually highlight with this. So I'm going to get that highlight there. And I do think this is a really pretty highlight. It can be punchy if you want it to be, but it's, I don't know, I feel like you could go light-handed with it and it look even a little bit less highlighty, but I think it's a really nice kind of in-between. It's like a medium highlight. I really like it. Again, I'll kind of dust a little bit of this on my brow bone, a little bit up there. just everywhere. This is a highlight that actually grew on me a lot. Like the more I used it, I'm like, actually, I really do think that's pretty. It's a little bit more of a gold shift to it, but it's not gold at all. I mean, it's really pretty. So probably the best product I've ever tried from Charlotte Tilbury next to the powder, the mascara. I gotta go find it. I literally have it elsewhere because I use it every single day. This is a mascara from Charlotte Tilbury. Now, she sells a couple. This is the Legendary Lashes Volume 2. It has to be Volume 2. Now, I haven't even tried the other ones. This one is so... this is one that I really could, like, say, forget it. I'm getting rid of all my mascaras and only buy this one for the rest of my life, except for it's $32 for mascara. I'm like, why? It's so expensive, but it is so, so good. And you guys know I have loved quite a few mascaras in my life that I, like, genuinely love and use all the time. I repurchase. This one blew all of them out of the water. I don't need to comb through my lashes. I don't need to curl them. This does it all in one. But not only that, it makes them black, long, volumized, curled, lasts all day. Like every time I'm wearing this, people are like, what mascara are you using? I'm like, let me tell you about this mascara. I can't shut up about it on my channel, I know, but here we go. So what I do is I literally will wiggle it at the base just a little bit to kind of brush through it and kind of curl it up. Now, I'm sure you'd probably still want to curl your lashes if you've got really straight lashes. I kind of have like an in-between. They're not super straight, but they're not crazy curled. They're just kind of in between. Now, obviously, you still can brush through your lashes and curl them. I just never do with this. I feel like I never need to. I have that Nelly and Kelly Rowland song stuck in my head. Remember that one song? No matter what I do, all I think about is you. So with and without, I just love this mascara. I just do. So I don't know if she has a setting spray, but I am gonna throw one on my face before I do my lips because I put a lot of powder on. This is the Onami Radical Setting Mist I've just been trying out. I wanted to use again. I actually put it on my face when I first started getting ready too. There we go. Now, I have quite a few, okay, not quite a few. I have a few lip products from her while this setting spray is drying that I wanted to talk about. So I've got I have two of her lip liners, which she calls lip cheats, because, you know, it's kind of at that, I feel like these grew really popular at the time that like people overdrawing their lips became popular, but they're just lip liners, but you know, people, it's like you're cheating your lips, because they call it the Reshape and Resize lip liner. But I have Super Size Me and Pillow Talk. Pillow Talk is one of the most famous ones, just a nice nude. These are not retractable, you have to sharpen them. And then this is Super Size Me. It's a little bit deeper than that, which actually works a little bit better for my lips. Pillow Talk is almost slightly lighter than my lips. And I mean, it's almost the same color. I'll put it on and then take it off so you can kind of just see what it looks like. I also have one of her lipsticks in Kidman's Kiss, which I thought would go really nicely with Super Size Me. It's actually pinker than I thought. I like it still, but it's pinker than I thought. These have like this little kiss on like the part right there, which I think is cute. And the packaging, of course, is so, so beautiful. These are really, really creamy, beautiful lipsticks, you guys. These are very nice lipsticks. I can't say that I can think of a drugstore lipstick that's quite as creamy, but I can certainly, like the Marc Jacobs lipsticks are creamy like that, but they're around the same price point too. You know what I mean? So it's not like you're saving money one way or the other, really. But then I have one of her lip glosses in Seduction. Actually, I think maybe one of you guys sent me like the lip gloss and maybe the Pillow Talk lip liner. I think the lip glosses are pretty, but I don't think you have to spend the money on these. I feel like Rimmel, I really like the Rimmel glosses, and they're similar formula to this. But then I also recently picked up the Collagen Lip Bath in Refresh Rose, and supposedly it's got collagen in it, so it's supposed to like actually make your lips look maybe slightly plumper, bigger. I haven't really experienced that, but I do like the way it feels. So, and of course, you know, the packaging, she really gets you on the packaging. So we're gonna do some combo of this. I'm gonna put on Pillow Talk so you can kind of see what it looks like. It's literally like you can't see it. It's like way too perfect for my lips. I don't know how to explain that, but it's like, that's all. So I feel like it almost doesn't do anything. It doesn't make my lips look more defined. Now it would be perfect again to like cheat out and like draw outside my lip line, but my lips are already big enough. I don't need to do it. I guess I am blessed in that way. So I'm gonna use Super Size Me. I feel like these are nice lip liners. They're very nice, they're very creamy. I think L'Oreal makes a lip liner I recently was talking about that's just as creamy and it's just as long wearing. So again, I don't think you have to spend the money on this, but if you were like dying to try it, I do think this is one of the good products out there. So I'm gonna put on the lipstick and then I should have put on the lip bath. But again, it's just kind of a clear gloss. So we're gonna put on Kidman's Kiss. Again, it's a little pink compared to that lip liner, but I actually think it kind of looks nice. These are so creamy. They have this nice like vanilla scent and you don't need a ton. Like I feel like you could put just a little bit on and go, and your lips, like they just become one with your lips. This is a really nice, like the more I've tried this, the more I'm realizing it's a nice creamy formula, but it's actually thinner than the Marc Jacobs one that I like. So it feels like you're only wearing lip balm. It's pretty cool in that way. So I might delve into more shades of this. Like I would be interested to try a red. Does she sell a red? Let me know if you have like if you've tried this and you have a favorite shade. Again, Pillow Talk is a little too light for me, the actual lipstick shade. So I really like this, but we're gonna go ahead and put on this gloss in Seduction. I don't think this is the full size. Maybe it is. I don't think it is. This is actually gonna tone it down just a little bit. It's more of a peachy nude. Okay, so we are all ready. Face is done. If I had to pick a top 5 of like what would be the 5 things that if you have the money or a gift card or you're just dying to try something, these are my top 5 Charlotte Tilbury products that I'm probably gonna buy again when I run out and I just absolutely adored. So first would be that contour wand. I really, really like this. I think it looks very natural. It's pretty easy to use, even if you're kind of leery of using cream products. It blends in so beautifully and seamlessly with the sponge. You don't really need to worry about it. So highly recommend this, adore that. The mascara, of course, it's just my favorite. I love it. I do think it's starting to get a little old. I've probably had it for a month and a half and I'm like, no, 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 no. So I don't know. I'm gonna keep, I will repurchase it again and I'll have to let you know, like, okay, does it dry out quicker than other mascaras? Am I just, I don't know. So something to kind of be aware of. But I really, really love it. The lipstick formula is so beautiful. This is one of those things that I'm definitely probably gonna hop on when Sephora has a sale or even if Beautylish has a sale and buy maybe 1 or 2 more shades because the more I've used it, including today, the more I'm realizing because it's so thin and moisturizing, it's comfortable. And I have noticed it wears off really beautifully. Like it's actually pretty comfortable to wear for an extended period of time. Now, I mean, it's still a lipstick. You're gonna need to reapply it after a couple hours, but it is just so beautiful. The powder, of course, the powder. I've loved this. This is one of my earliest purchases and I've loved it for so long. I am so like, I baby this and I like don't use it all over my face. Again, I don't love it all over my face, but also I don't wanna buy it again, but I will because I'll run out and I will buy it again. We've got a toss up. I've got a few that I want in the 5th spot. The cream shadow I think is gorgeous. I'm going to buy another shade in because I think it blends so beautifully. It's so easy to use. But I also really do like this. I know when I was talking about it earlier, I don't think it's like crazy special, but I had forgotten when I was saying that how much I've used this on my eyes and I'm like, I feel like it's kind of just multi-use. You know what I'm saying? Like I can use this in so many ways and I have already gotten a lot of my money's worth and I feel like I use it a lot and I still haven't even made a dent. So I do think this is nice. I really do. And then I'm looking at the face products. I'm like, oh no, I do like this flawless filter, but I feel like you could probably find something similar at the drugstore, you know, but I do like it. And would I buy it again after I run out? I could see myself buying it again, like if it were on sale. And you guys know I like the foundation. I gotta stop. But you guys know I like this foundation a lot, but I just found drugstore one. So I gotta stop there because I could keep going around in circles. But I was so impressed with this brand. If you have anything from the brand that you would recommend that you'd like me to try, let me know. If there's enough that I haven't tried that I end up buying and trying anyway, I could do a part 2 to this maybe in a few months or, you know, next year at some point. So let me know. And if you enjoyed this video, I hope you give it a thumbs up. Definitely check me out on my social media, which is GMBeauty89 everywhere. And I hope you subscribe and I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye.